Alright, I'm going to do a series on tips and tricks on some things I've learned over the past couple years that I wish I would have known when I got the big green egg. So tip number one is keeping the green egg clean, especially for long smoke. So this vent box down here collects with ash, and you can see I've got a pretty good set of ash there. For long smokes, you want to make sure that's clean in there. Airflow is a huge part of the big green egg, so the more ash that's in there, the less airflow and the less even heat around the box. So one thing I'll do is I'll come in here and you'll see there's some charcoal and wood left from the last smoke. I'll get in here and kind of move it around, make sure all that small sediment and ash gets through your holes down there at the bottom, all those holes. Make sure that all gets down there, and then I'll take a shop vac. Just a regular shop vac. Do not use your vacuum, your wife will kill you. And just put the shop vac in there and clean it. It comes with a tool, the big green egg does. The tool works okay, but the shop vac really gets everything in there, so you can, you know, kind of jam this around in there and suck it all out. That's tip number one. Alright, tip number two is the gasket. So when you get the big green egg, the gasket comes like this. It says big green egg on the front. It swivels, you know, this way. You would think that you would want the big green egg on the front facing you. There's a problem with that. So say we dial it in like that. When we open the lid, we bring the lid back. That opens up. Reason being, there's a screw in this pivot here. You want to turn this around where this screw is this way. The big green egg letters are pointing out, and then you set it and you'll see that can't move there. So this time when I open it, bring it back down, it stays in place. That's tip number two. Alright, tip number three is airflow and how much charcoal to put in the big green egg. Now I'm about to do a long smoke here, so you'll see I've filled this thing up almost to the top with wood and lump charcoal up to the top of that fireball ring. I'm about to smoke a brisket, and that's going to be a long smoke, you know, plus 12 hours. So the more charcoal and wood you have in there, the less airflow, which means the less heat when you can regulate your heat more. If I was doing steaks where I wanted to get this thing up to say 800 degrees, or pizzas real hot, I'd put about a quarter of what's in there now, because it's going to be less lump charcoal, less wood, which means more airflow, higher heat. Alright, here's tip number four, and this is probably my least favorite part of owning a big green egg, and that is changing the gasket. When you get the big green egg, you'll have a gasket on it just like this. It's a nice thick gasket that keeps the smoke in. I just replaced this, but after about a year, or it depends how often you use it, it could be less, this will get burned down, and it will be black, and it won't hold much smoke. And how you'll know is when your big green egg is closed and you're smoking, you'll actually see smoke come out of the side of this, and that's getting rid of heat and getting rid of temperature, and you don't want to do that. So about once a year you got to change that gasket, and it takes a process of getting the old gasket off with some acetone or alcohol and then replacing it. And you can get those gaskets from you know, on Amazon online, or from the Big Green Egg guys direct from there. Depends what you prefer, but recommend you do it at least once a year. And how will you know? You'll know when your smoke is leaking out the sides. I have a video on my page here on how to actually change the gasket if you need it, but good luck. Alright, tip number five, and the last tip, is calibrating the thermometer. So the thermometer is in the big green egg. This is the clip that's up underneath it, and this is through it. So you just kind of wiggle the thermometer out. If you need a pair of pliers to help do that, you can do that. And then you want to take this. Oddly enough, this thing, when I first got it, was not calibrated, and I do it about once a year, calibrate it. What you want to do, basically boil a pot of water. I'm not boiling the pot of water here, I'm just demonstrating. I get a pot of some water boiling on the stove, and by mathematics, 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point of water. So basically get two skewers. You want to get that pot boiling there. And basically you want to read that, and if it goes to 100 degrees Celsius and stops, then you're fine, you're done. If it doesn't, it has a different temperature. If it's higher or lower, you know you've got a problem. So if it goes up to 150, for example, it means you're 50 degrees off. You basically want to get a pair of pliers, and this right here actually turns the temperature. So I'll show you. Right here, it actually turns the temperature. So if it's up or down, that's which way you want to do it. And then get it back. Get your pot boiling again, put it in there until it gets to 100 degrees, and then you're calibrated.